Former President Donald Trump made his rounds in Washington, D.C. ahead of the first 2024 presidential debate next week. The former president talked about various policies that he thinks would help the economy, including replacing the federal income tax with an all-tariff policy. Joining us now, Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds, who met with the former president. That is kind of a long shot, don't you think, Congressman?
Well, look, I think the president is talking through a lot of different ideas. People need to always remember his entire focus is on making sure that lives for all Americans flourishes once again. Consumers are struggling really at historic rates when you look at the Biden inflation, which is crippling families. So he's looking at all different ideas and really trying to take their measure. Still a long way to go, but it demonstrates that he's thinking clearly and deeply about what's troubling Americans and not just being caught in the same trap of Washington, D.C. And we've been through this before. Tax Cut and Jobs Act was something that the Washington establishment did not like. It actually turned out it was actually great tax policy for the American people, and the federal government has raised record revenue as a result.
Like so many things, Congressman, it's almost a Rorschach test because Democrats say the thing we definitely need to do is let all those things expire this next time because it only benefited the wealthy. It blew out the deficit. Nothing good came of what happened in that the tax cuts of 2017. What is a normal, American that pays some attention to these things, but where do you get the actual data that allows you to make an informed decision on something like that? Because I'm not going to say polar opposite because I don't need to say it's redundant, but you have opposite takes. You have alternate facts on what the effects of those tax cuts were.
Well, I mean, look, my Democratic colleagues, they've never liked tax cuts because their view is that when you centralize more funds into the federal treasury, things work better. I think that's personally insane, but that's what they think. The reality has been that Art Laffer was proven correct by TCJA, or what we call the Trump tax cuts, because marginal rates were lowered. The corporate tax rate was lowered. You had more economic output coming in our country, in our economy, and the federal treasury took in a record percentage of that increased economic growth. So if you just look at the basic statistics that come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about economic growth, if you go to the treasury and ask them what percentage of revenue are you getting from the economy, we were getting record 20% of an increased economy under Donald Trump's tax policy. As far as I'm concerned, that's basic math. That is a winning strategy for America. So the Democrats were proven completely wrong, which is why they've mostly been quiet about the Trump tax policy until very recently, because now we have a presidential election. They want to play politics, of course.
Do you have a sort of a prognosis for what we see in 10 days at the debate, Congressman?
Well, I think what you're going to see is a very contrasting view of the current state of America. I mean, look, surprise, surprise, they're going to disagree about the current state. But I think what you're going to see from President Trump is he is going to go through his plans, how they impacted America, and Joe Biden's reversal of so many of his strategies, his plans for America, and what that's done to our country. I'm not quite sure what to expect from Joe Biden. I really don't have a view on him and what he's going to do. I think that President Trump's going to demonstrate once again that his policy agenda was the correct recipe for the United States. And you're seeing that in support from the working class people of America, and now from the finance and business sector of America. Everybody knows the truth that the Trump agenda did work for America, and it will work for America again.
I don't know. Both sides are going to, get down in the dirt. I see it happening already. That President Biden is getting a lot of advice to go even harder on January 6th, and I guess the makeup of the Supreme Court. Some of the recent decisions, bump stocks. I don't know what you think about that. What should Republicans do? I was saying earlier that you have to probably, as a Democrat, you have to acknowledge that there's a chance that Kamala Harris would eventually ascend to the presidency, don't you? I mean, they say don't believe your eyes, but is that what Republicans should be focusing on? I mean, that's a real possibility that will be the outcome eventually.
I think it is a possibility, but at the end of the day, the Democrat agenda remains the same. Whether it's Joe Biden, who I believe is going to be their nominee, he's going to be on the top of the ticket. He's running for president. Kamala Harris or anybody else, the policies will not change. Let's take example of banking regulatory policy in the United States. The Democrats right now are heavily pushing for increased capital requirements on the banking system. Well, listen, the large banks will probably be fine. They'll get through that. You know, if you talk to them privately, they don't understand why we're even doing this, but they'll probably be okay. Who really struggles? Community banking will continue to fall off in the United States. Your regional banks will struggle under this type of capital raising regime. So when you do this type of policy, who really struggles in the end? It is your mom and pop small business trying to find capital to either keep their business afloat or to grow their business in a reasonable way. You couple that with this massive inflation, which every Democrat voted for, every Democrat supported when they did the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act. All that was massive spending our economy simply did not need. It created a labor shortage, which created a massive inflation in our economy, and the American consumer has not recovered. So like I said, whether it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Gavin Newsom, it doesn't matter. They are going to follow the same terrible economic agenda, which may be great if you're in Silicon Valley, but it is not good for the average American.